And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Fly Past. My name is Simon, and today we're in the WWII, and we're over Juno Beach. So today we are going to do an overview of the Canadian beach on D-Day, which was codenamed Juno. And this beach is, well, when I say I was over Juno, actually over Gold at the moment, where we left off last time. And there's the first crash of the stream. So we're going to fly along the coast, and we'll take a general look at... Whoa, let's get some up here. There we go, let's get stable first. Welcome, there's a second crash. Welcome, by the way, to anyone who's new to the channel. Flight Past is a tool on this stream to use the satellite imagery that MSFS provides, and to have a look at some of history's greatest moments. And we've been doing a series over the last month or so, last 2 months, on D-Day, and we're moving now along the coast. We've done Utah Beach and Omaha Beach and Gold Beach, and we're now coming up on Juno Beach. This town that we see ahead of us is known as Courseulles. Courseulles is just here where the white dot is. This is where the River Sul flows into the English Channel, and this represents from where we are, this white dot here is known as Mike sector, and that's up to, from this point here to the river, and beyond that is a sector known as Nan, and those two sectors are broken down into different colors. And what you find here is we've got Mike Green and Mike Red. And then it goes into Nan Green, Nan White, and then Nan Red. And it goes around that peninsula just here, this point here. And it ends the Canadian section around about this place here. And then you can see this bay or crescent just before the estuary of the River Orne. That is your sword section for where the British land. So this is the responsibility of the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division, and they were part of the British 2nd Army. They landed in this area. They're supported by the 2nd Canadian Armoured Brigade, and what tends to happen on the British side of things is they put their say elite or specialist forces on the edges of the sectors. And so Juno Beach has the 46th and the 48th Royal Marine Commandos, and they're placed at the end of the beach sectors, and their jobs on each of the beaches really is to push past the initial landing assault phase and to link up with the sections, the beaches on either side. So you'd have 46 Commando going towards Gold and 48 towards Sword. And this is Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer, and this is represents the easterly extent of the beach Juno. Whilst we're here, we just have a little look. The main objective. The main objective of all of these beaches really was to push inland, and one of them was to seize for Juno, the Canadians, is this airfield ahead of us here called Carpiquet, and the other main objective was to seize the road which is known as the N13, and this is a road that ran from Caen towards Bayeux. It was a major artery along the coast of Normandy, and by seizing this or breaking that road, they could prevent the Germans from moving reinforcements quickly to where they thought they would want them. Talk about the Germans. This like with many of the beaches we've talked about, the main crust of the defenses was achieved by static divisions. They had no basic static because they didn't have any transport. They weren't expected to move. They were expected to stay where they were, defend this crust. And this was the 716th Infantry Division's job. To do. Let's just fly a little bit lower. Juno is a very interesting beach because unlike the other beaches that we've visited so far, this section of the Normandy coast is the main features is pockets of villages or small towns, seaside towns. So a lot of the coast, as you can see here, has built up area along it. So if we now peel around, and we can have a look. We'll fly along the actual beach itself. Okay, so this is the beginning of Sword just there. So let's bend around, and as you can see, a lot of this coastline is built up already. So this meant that the nature of the fighting here, the nature of the defenses, was different to the others. It also meant that the command, the naval bombardment and the aerial bombardment was, let's put it this way, less willing to bomb this section, knowing that there's likely to be civilian casualties. As you can see, this nature of this coastline here, as we go along, this is Nan, I believe, green. You can see that it's all built up. So what this meant was the Germans could camouflage defensive position machine gun posts in these buildings. There wasn't so much the need to fortify. They did have Verstander's nests. They had Verstander's nests basically running from WN26 at Langrune-sur-Mer, which was back there, all the way through to Verstander's nest 31. Which was on the Mike Red sector. Here's Courseulles-sur-Mer, and so in between these towns you can see these pockets of countryside, which is where a lot of some of the Canadians would come into to try to avoid these built-up areas. But it was difficult for any armoured vehicles to push in over those areas because they generally tend to be flooded, marshy areas. And so you can see that we've just flown along the beach there. We're now into Mike Red. We're coming into Mike Green. And you can see how the built-up nature stretches along the coast. What the Germans did as well, they would put in a series of trenches within the gardens of the houses so that they could move freely between the positions. The civilians had been evacuated from the area, and so they would have networks of trenches behind in the gardens behind the buildings. The defences along here, so we've got these Verstander's nests. We can show there was if we just pause here, let's jump out. This is the section we're looking at here. This part of the beach is Mike. This is Mike Red. And we have a Verstander's nest here, I believe, which was number 31. Protecting the approaches to the harbour here. We have Verstander's nest 30 was, I think it was at the end, it's in the town. Let's see if we can see any evidence for that. It might be this place here. Protecting the harbour. And probably, it was possibly around this section here as well. Obviously, slightly raised up here on the top of the hill, and it protected or defended the exits, so these road exits that come off to the from Courseulles to the north. And there was another one. There was I think there was a strong point here on the harbour entrance, and these tend to be gun emplacements that would enfilade along the beach. And then if we get down to the other end here, this was Verstander's Nest 29, and I think it's somewhere in this region here. And it would basically had some 50 millimeter caliber guns, things like that. There was an 88, and it would basically be able to swivel both ways along the beach here to enfilade along. It had a wall to protect it from naval gunfire. Whilst we're here, let's just zoom down the beach, and we can point out the other. This town here is Bernières, and this had a strong point, Verstander's Nest 28. I believe it's somewhere around here. And it again could sweep along both directions. Difficult one to find, that one. So this is Bernières. This is we've just come from so from the river Courseulles estuary basically to where this green area is in between the two towns. That is Nan green. Nan white is it's a pretty big section, but basically takes on most of Bernières, which is this section here. And then as we come down, we get to Verstander's Nest 27, which is, I believe it's on this little promontory here at Saint-Aubin. And this is Nan red. Again, facing down the beach. Alrighty. Let's go to look at some of the actual assault plan stage then, I suppose. Let's get back in the helicopter. So the naval forces of the assault waves were all named or by a letter, and the task force designed to support the Canadians' assault on this section was known as Force J. And now I don't know whether the code name Juno comes from the J of the task force, or the J of the task force comes from the code name Juno. I don't know. Again, from midnight, there's a lot of bombing raids going along down here, but from what I've read, there was less going on down this section, probably because it was just impossible to just obliterate the whole town or towns. So it was most of the preliminary bombardment before the landing craft arrive was done by naval destroyers. Around about so the H hour on this beach, again it gets later and later as we come eastward. This time it would be around about 7:35 was the H hour, so about 40 minutes beforehand, about 6 o'clock, 6:10, the destroyers move in close and start to bombard the likely stronghold positions. They were joined by LCTs, which were fitted with 120mm guns, and so they would come in for a preliminary bombardment. And then we have that usual sort of sequence of assault craft. You'd have on the edges, you'd have these sort of mortars and rocket ships would be following in the landing assault craft, but the main thing was that the DD tanks were supposed to arrive probably, I mean, anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes before the infantry, and to soften up any of these machine gun positions. But of course the weather wasn't playing ball on the day, and the DD tanks were delayed. They were told to deploy further in, if not on the beach, then just before the beach. And so a lot of the time that the once again the poor old infantry, they're arriving too late. Too early for the support of the tanks. So let's go section by section then. We'll start down at Mike, red and green. I'm going to just take a quick break here. This seems like a good place to have a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll work along the beaches section by section. So I'll see you in a minute.